Dionisio at the plate. He's over 2 today. Swakowski, the big right-hander, lets it go. It's right down Broadway. Dionisio lets it fly, and it's raining now.
It's time for Rain Delay Theater with Jeremy Dionisio and Jack Swakowski.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Rain Delay Theater, the podcast where two bums talk about other bums at baseball games. I'm Jack Swakowski.
And I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
And we, in episode 304, are going to be recapping SoxFest, or SoxFest Live, I believe as it was officially called, which took place at the Ramova Theater down on the south side on 35th and Halstead. Jeremy, this was uncharted waters for us. We'd never been to SoxFest before, perhaps rightfully so. I think they just brought it back last year after a long hiatus. So we had the opportunity to go this year. And I don't want to say it didn't disappoint, but it, in a White Sox way, I guess it was everything we expected it would be.
Yeah, it was fraught with some things, and some things were cool, but it was White Sox-esque for sure. I actually have a theory about like why they called it White Sox Live,
Sure.
which maybe I can talk about at the end, I guess, or maybe like somewhere in the early beginning, but yeah, there's some stuff to talk about for sure. A lot of rando people there and stuff. So yeah, I guess we can just kick it off. I guess
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our plan to get there was you could park for free at the Sox Stadium in one of the parking lots, and they had shuttle buses that would take you to the Ramova Theater, which was just a couple of blocks away. So our plan was to kind of leave around 4:15 or so. You're going to pick me up, Jeremy. We both live on the north side, and we were going to drive down. It was a weekend, so there wouldn't be that much traffic. So we would be able to get there right about 5 o'clock, which is when the doors to the Ramova opened. We did not feel like waiting outside because it was cold out and it had been dreadfully cold all week. So we didn't want to wait outside the theater until the doors opened. So our goal was to get there kind of right as the doors opened. And we timed it out pretty well, but there was a little bit of drama like in the picking up process of it.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of walked into a powder keg of a situation, and I was oddly like a cog in the situation, I guess. Like normally, both of us are kind of like at the mercy of whatever's going on and kind of just like pushing up against it. But I was a passive part of the situation. So Jack does live in like kind of like a neighborhood that's a little hard to find parking. And so there was, I don't even think I knew about this, but there's a little area at the end of your block with a standing, like a blinker zone, like a standing zone. So you can pull over and put your flashers on. And when I pulled up, Jack, there was just one like taxi there. And he was kind of parked in a weird way where like there was a spot in front of him and like maybe a half spot behind him. So I had to kind of like back in between him and the car in front of me. So right there, I was like kind of already boxing myself in to the situation. And then I was, it's weird. I guess they said they had food to buy there. I don't know. Maybe that was in the lounge. Cause I'm like, I don't remember seeing, I thought they'd have like a hot dog stand or something.
I don't remember seeing anybody with food. Right,
exactly. But they made a point of saying like food and drinks will be for sale or something. So it was kind of weird, but the point is like I wanted to eat beforehand because I didn't know how much it was going to cost, whatever. So I was in the process of driving over to your place. I was looking for just a friggin' like McDonald's to drive through, just get a quick burger while I'm driving and eat while I'm driving. And we just so happen to live in a route that there's no drive-throughs between our apartments. So I ended up pulling into Byron's hot dog stand on like the corner of Irving and Sheridan, which is where I often park when I go to Graf and walk to the stadium. But I pulled in really quick. I figured I could get 2 hot dogs real quick, or a hot dog, and whatever. I ended up like having to drive and eat like hot dogs, which is not it's not conducive. Like a burger, yeah, but a hot dog, especially a Chicago dog, very non-conducive to driving. So I pulled in and I was like wolfing down. I wolfed down like 1 hot dog and some fries, And then I like decided to, called you and I said, like, or I texted you and like, okay, you can come on down. And then I was trying to wolf down this other one, and you got there as I was shoving it in my mouth. And also there was like 2 cars that had like come over and like blocked me in, like they were double parked and they were blocking me in.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. I wasn't expecting any of that. Yeah, because like you had texted me from your apartment. It was like, you said you were leaving, and then like it was about 15 minutes and I didn't hear from you, and I was kind of waiting outside. I was like, where the hell is Jeremy? And then you texted me that you were at the end of the block, and then I opened your car door, and like the whole car smells like a hot dog, and you're like eating this hot dog. I was like, okay, he was trying to eat a little bite before he picked me up. I get it. Yeah, it's totally fine. The hot dog also smelled good. I will also say that I had the same instinct as you, or I wanted to eat beforehand. And it turned out to be the right call, because like SoxFest was at a weird time where we had to leave at 4, but we weren't going to get home by 10. So if there wasn't eating options, we would have just been hungry the whole time. So I think that was a good call. Aside from those sliders that they had in that bar, which we can talk about a little bit later, I didn't see any damn food there. So that was a good call. But also you were parked in, Jeremy, probably from people going in the Starbucks that was right on the corner.
Yeah.
So it was just like, how the hell, we got to get to the SoxFest. Like, how the hell are we going to get out of here if these people are double parking us?
Yeah, it was it was I guess I didn't really clock that there was a Starbucks right there. That's got to be what that zone is for.
Yep.
And so I did end up like the car that was like blocking me in the most, I saw a guy get out of the passenger seat. So I was like, okay, I think there's a guy in the driver's seat. So I kind of ran out, told the guy I was going to move. He was pretty nice about it. He just moved forward and I started moving out, but I was trying to move out quickly before, someone else, blocked in that space and blocked me in again. And this fucking girl was like crossing the street, and like, she was crossing in between cars and stuff. And like, she looked like she was going to go towards me and then kind of like deviated from that path. And I started going out, and then she cut back to my car, and like, she almost like walked right into my moving car. Like, yep. She almost like I almost hit her because she like walked into my car, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, and she was like, oh, she was like making a face like, oh, sorry. And like, I'm like, what are you doing? You saw me moving. Like, why'd you walk towards my car? So, that was annoying. But I did get, dislodged from that space, and we ended up, getting out of there and heading down, to the stadium. We hit a little traffic getting down there. We ended up like, getting in the area of, the parking lot, and we see the parking lot, we see the shuttle buses, and they said that they leave every 20 minutes, and it was getting close to 5:00 when the doors opened, and I was trying to get in there because like, last thing I wanted to do was like get out of the car and like run for the shuttle bus and have it take off, and we were stuck behind this damn driver who was like going like extra slow, who was also going to the same spot that we were. They were pulling into the parking lot, and I was like, I wanted to get around this guy. It was super frustrating, but it all worked out.
That was bizarre. But yeah, Jeremy, I know what you mean about like, we wanted to get there on time because we didn't want a repeat of Cubs Fest where it was like you couldn't get into the opening ceremonies, you know? So we'd never been there. We didn't know what we were walking into. And we didn't know how many people were going to be there. So that was a little bit of a concern. When we got to the parking lot, I think we quickly saw that there were not a lot of people at the parking lot. So right away, I think we kind of realized that it was going to be a different vibe from Cubs Fest as far as attendance is concerned. Thankfully, we were able to get on the bus and get seats together and drive over there. And it was a short drive, but when we got to the bus, there were people lined up for about, I would say, a block and a half or 2 blocks trying to get into the theater. And right as our bus arrived is kind of right when they started letting people in.
Yeah, the line was wrapped around the corner and down the block. And we did see our buddy Chris like right up in front of the line. And we were just kind of following, we were going upstream against this line just to find the end of it. And it was really annoying because, okay, so the theater, it's this old theater, the Ramova Theater, was renovated a couple years ago, but it's just like an old classic theater space in Bridgeport, south side of Chicago. And it's in a commercial area, like a residential / commercial area. And so like there's businesses and whatnot. There's like this like diner on the corner. And the sidewalks are regular city sidewalks. And so there's the half of it, more than half of it, is taken up by the line of people waiting to get in. And we're going upstream, and there's been snow on the ground in Chicago. It's been damn cold the last couple of weeks, and just snow on the ground perpetually now. And so we were like fighting upstream to find the end of this line, and we were like walking through. You either could walk through the street or through snow to get there. It was super frustrating. Like, it was a super narrow sidewalk, and that in and of itself was annoying just to get to that point.
Yes, it was. Yeah, and at one point too, we were there was like an alley that like a car was trying to get through, so we had to stop, and like it stopped the entire line of people who were trying to get in as this car drove past. It was just it was a bad situation. But finally we were able to get in. We should just mention this, Jeremy, because it was stupid and it was frustrating. But, once again, they had these metal detectors. I feel like they just borrowed them from U.S. Cellular Field. Like, They were those, like, crappy ancient metal detectors. So it was a hassle because you had to take everything out of your pockets and, like, slide it, across the table just like you do at a White Sox game, and then walk through the metal detector. And then you're ready after that to just walk in the stadium, but you realize you put your crap back in your pocket, then you have to take your phone back out to show the person the ticket. Yeah. It's just like it was like being at a White Sox game.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that, honestly. I was like just not in that mindset, and so it was annoying because we're bringing a lot of stuff. I had like a bunch of like Sharpies, and like I had a phone charger just in case, and I had to like take all that stuff out, and it was annoying. We got into the venue, and you ended up hitting up the bathroom. I kind of walked into the venue just to kind of scope it out, and I ended up seeing Chris like right up front. We talked to, like, you ended up coming back to me, to us, like finding us, and then we talked for a little bit, but then I broke off to hit the restroom, and it was like starting to get packed, like starting to fill in a little bit, and like people were just getting in the way, just like moving super slowly. You try to go around them, and then they would like dart to the side and like cut you off, and it was just like I was just trying to like hurry to go to the bathroom and get back, and like people were just like, it was just a flurry of people just kind of wandering in all different directions, and it was super annoying. It's something that happens just when you're out and about in the streets and everything, but in an enclosed space, it was like extra evident and extra annoying.
Was there a line for the men's bathroom when you went?
Okay, so this was weird too. In the men's room, there was not a line to get in. And then when you walked in, this happened to me a couple times at different like concert venues and stuff, where I walk in and I see like an open thing. So there was an open urinal at the bathroom, and in the bathroom, and I just went right to it, and I started doing my thing. And then like I looked back at some point, and I saw that there was like starting to be a line inside the bathroom to get to the urinals.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if I like jumped the line or what, but like I just saw an open urinal and I went right to it, and there was a line by the time I was done, and I don't know if I skipped it or like like cut it or not, but it was just weird.
My point with that question was those bathrooms were a nightmare. So I'm glad that you had the same experience I did, because it was not good inside of there. So you broke off. But we were and came back, but we were right by the just the front of the stage, basically like center stage. Yeah. And there was this cover band playing. It was who was it? It was like Aya Ito and the Banditos or something like that.
Yeah, something Ito and the Bandito. I don't think I like made that until you just said it like that, but it was a sort of rhyming scheme. But I did. It on paper it didn't read like it rhymed. It was weird.
Yeah, and whatever, they were fine. It was a cover band, but like it was really loud. And it was going on for a long time. I get that it's a concert venue, but like I don't usually like to attend concerts just because like I don't like to be in spaces with loud noises for an extended period of time because of my hearing. And I don't want to damage anything. So it was just like it was annoying to be forced to listen to this cover band. And I think I said to Chris at one point, I was like, can't they just like play some highlights or interviews with players or something? Like, who actually wants to listen to this cover band? So it was, again, it was something that was very White Sox, because I could see that band performing at a White Sox game later this year.
Yeah, definitely. They'll definitely be out on that little stage by
Yes.
like gate 2 or whatever it is. They'll definitely be there. It was yeah, it was just I don't want to rag on like the live band, but it was just standard cover band. So they play like Sweet Child of Mine, and
Yeah.
they did play this one weird song that was like, it was like in Japanese or something, and like it was like AO White Sox or something was the
Yes.
chorus, and like, yeah, it was a little cheesy, but Jack, honestly, from going to other concerts, like it wasn't even as loud as like other concerts, but
Sure.
it was still loud. It was like, it's like, we're here, we want to talk. I was trying to talk to Chris before I broke off, and like I wasn't prepared to be yelling, and so I was
Yep.
starting to like hurt my voice. Like I had to like stop and cough a couple times because I was like straining my voice, and it sucked. I hadn't seen, we haven't seen Chris in months, so he wanted to catch up. He was asking us about Cubs convention, and like I couldn't talk to him because the damn thing was so loud. Damn band was so loud. I guess, Jack, I can just say it right now. Like, we'll talk about everything that went on, but like it was weird. The fest, it was short.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was like I feel like they call it SoxFest Live because it's really just more like you're going to a concert or you're going to like a little event.
Yeah.
Like it was about the length of like what a concert would be or something. So
Sure.
it was a little weird. But I think that there was actually like a specific thought behind calling it White Sox or SoxFest Live. So yeah. There was we were like after the band ended, they started like tearing down the stage to get it set up for the opening ceremonies, the quote unquote opening ceremonies, which was like 10 minutes long or something.
If that, Jeremy,
Yeah.
it was pretty sad.
Yeah, and I noticed one of the guys, I don't know if he was a stage manager or a stage hand. It's funnier to call him a stage hand if he's a stage manager because that's a step down. But I recognize this guy. I have an email into my friend to see if he remembers his name. I don't remember what his name is, but like it was some dumb like variation of a regular name. Like I was trying to think like his name might have been like Austin, but with an M, so his name was like Moston or something. I still don't think that that's exactly what it was, but it was some dumb name. But I knew this guy from going to movie trivia at the Logan Theater, and I don't know if people out there go to like trivia nights a lot or whatever, but like I would go for a little bit, and for fun or to kind of whatever, just do it for fun, and you run into these people at movie trivia, at trivia nights. It doesn't have to be movie trivia, any trivia nights, who are just like fucking like know-it-alls, and they just like they'll usually you put in your answers, you write it on a sheet of paper and then turn it in. Like they'll be the scribe, they'll be the one like with the pen sitting in front of the paper, and like this guy used to do a thing where like they would ask a question and he would just, and there'd be like 6 of us on the team, and they'd ask a question and he'd just lean over and start writing the answer. Like wouldn't even talk to us at all. Wouldn't even be like movie trivia etiquette is like you're with 6 other people. Otherwise you can go there and play by yourself, like a loser. But you talk to your teammates, you discuss it, even if you know the answer. You say like, hey guys, I think I know this one, and then like I think it's Silence of the Lambs. Like, sound good, yeah, okay, I'm gonna write it down. Like, this guy would just write the answer down, and like he was fucking annoying. I did not like this guy, and I saw him there. I hadn't seen him in like years, but I was like, that's that fucking trivia guy.
That's crazy that I didn't know you had that much of a background with that guy when you pointed him out. So that's funny, Jeremy. Definitely saw that guy. So anyway, yeah, they had this weird opening ceremony. It was basically just like the Cubs red carpet ceremony, only instead of Cole Wright, they made Gene Honda do it, which is kind of sad. Like, I understand why they throw Cole Wright out there because it's like nobody else wants to do this. But like, have Connor McKnight do it or something. I think Gene Honda should be past the point of like having to do this stuff. The man is a Chicago legend. But still, funny that they made him do it. They also, so whatever, he comes out, he announces all the players. They come down and like they high five people. And we were in the front row basically, so like Jeremy, you and I could have high fived guys. I didn't really try to at all. But yeah, before all that, they made Gene Honda do this this spiel where he was like, and remember, no one is guaranteed any autographs. And it's like, come on, man. Tom Ricketts is like, you guys said you wanted more opportunities for autographs. And here Gene Honda's like, Gene Honda's killing our buzz before the fucking thing even starts. Like, that sucks, man.
Now, that is White Sox. That is definitely White Sox. Yeah, it's just like what is like a slap in the face? It's like, and to have it coming from Gene Honda's voice, it makes it extra funnier. If anything, it makes it maybe a little less annoying or something. But
sure.
But it's just complete buzzkill. Absolutely, Jack. Funny to put it that way. I will say it was cool to watch Gene Honda because I've never really like I've seen maybe video of him like doing announcements, but
yeah,
it was kind of cool. Whenever there's a guy who's known for their voice and you don't normally see them speaking, you only hear them, like it's kind of crazy to kind of like when Dan Castellaneta would go on a talk show and do like Homer Simpson.
Yeah,
it's kind of mind-blowing to see that. And so it was cool to see Gene Honda doing it, but I agree that's like the guy isn't paid to be a personality. He's paid like for like to be a good voice,
right?
But he kind of had to be like a personality at this thing, and like I don't know if it was fun for him or outside of his comfort zone, but and he did a fine job. But
he did.
You know, he shouldn't be made. He shouldn't be made to do that.
No.
He doesn't want to.
And so they rolled everybody out, had them all on stage there. We'll talk a little bit about Len Kasper later, but Kasper was there, and you pointed this out to me, and I had noticed it too. But he was standing on the stage in his White Sox jersey, and all the media guys had like a 26 on their jersey for 2026. But Kasper just looked miserable, like he wasn't having any fun and didn't really want to be there, which may have been true. Also, I'm sure he's been to CubsCon, and like CubsCon is way better tthan whatever the hell the White Sox were going for here.
I actually think he was the MC for a little bit.
Interesting.
Yeah, I almost want to say I remember watching it live on Marquee or even maybe Comcast Sportsnet. It might have been in 2017 after they won the World Series, and he was the MC for that one. So
okay,
yeah, he was like a big part of CubsCon for sure.
Wow. Okay. Yep. But he was there. Bo Jackson was there as well. Jeremy, he walked right past us. What I'll say about Bo Jackson, I didn't realize he was as short as he was. He wasn't much taller than us.
Yeah, no, he was short and stout, like thick, and like I could see why he was a successful running back specifically in the NFL.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, honestly, that was probably the coolest thing is to see him up close.
It was.
It would have been. So he walked by us, and he actually, Chris actually did high five him, and he was making a joke like, I'm never gonna wash his hand again.
Yep.
And then I did say, I'm like, that's probably the closest you're gonna get to him tonight. And,
yeah.
And he's like, yeah.
No, that is true. We may as well talk about that for just a second. So there were two tiers of tickets you could get. We just got the general admission for $35, and then they had an MVP tier for $275.
Yeah.
Which again, very White Sox, but like it's way, way, way too much to pay. So like all of the general admission stuff was on the first floor, and then they had a balcony level that you could go up to, and that was where all the MVP stuff was happening. So we have no idea what went up there, and for that price, I don't even want to know, nor would I even explore it for next year.
Yeah, it's a hell of a leap from $35 to $275.
Yeah,
and it's not like there's any guys like. So I guess there were guys who we never even saw on the main floor, Bo included there, but that's a huge jump, and like when you go back and like think about what we paid for Cubs convention's $125, I believe, for the ticket, and then we paid more for the season ticket holder thing. But even still, out the door, that ended up being less than what the White Sox VIP or MVP tier would have been, and there was like 3 times more people there, 4 times more people there. Actually, more than that probably, but it was bizarre, and like it's not like, I guess they had like an hour long after party, so you were able to stay a little bit longer, but there in no realm is it worth that extra money. But yeah, and so I think some people got like this like signed photo of Bo that they were he had with him. So no outside items, but yeah, it was a bummer. Chris and his dad were telling us like last year you were able to go up there a little bit to get some of the autographs, but now this year it was like we were strictly restricted to the first floor, and like the MVPs got full run of the top floor with pretty much all the players. So if I paid $275, I better get every single person there.
Yes.
That's crazy, but yeah. So it's a bummer that there's not. I mean, maybe for the best, there's not even an option that's worth considering.
Right.
But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, so next to the theater, they have this bar. Was it literally just called the Lounge? Is that what they called it?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what it was called. It was. Yeah. I think they called it something, but yeah, it's just like this little lounge bar. It is like a bar, like a lounge bar.
And so when Gene Honda was doing his spiel, he was like, and the Lounge is right next door on Halstead. A lot of us will be hanging out there throughout the night. Just like, kind of trying to sneak it in there. And then of course he also said there, and we've got a big surprise for you. But in true White Sox fashion, like an hour and a half after that, we were like, what the hell did he mean a big surprise? Like what was It's like at the end of the night, we were like, what was the big surprise? Like, so of course that was, very vague. But the point is they had this lounge, and he alluded to, people being in there. So we were like, okay, so now once the ceremony wraps up, like let's go find this lounge and see if anybody's gonna be back there. And our instincts were, having been graphing for as long as we've been graphing, kind of went to the back of the lounge, and we did see this area that was stanchioned off. And it almost looked like a backstage area, and we sort of naturally gravitated towards that. And I think that was, ultimately, if we go next year, that would be the right move to kind of hang out there.
Yeah, I think so too. It was like years ago, several years ago, my wife and I, we were on vacation in Albuquerque, and I went to an Albuquerque Isotopes game, and I exited the park, and I instinctively went to the home team exit area. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know, it was like a divining rod. Like I was led there through my autograph, intuition. And so, yeah, it was just kind of the place to be. It's always tough because not knowing for sure, you're always once you camp out in one spot, you're like, am I missing something else somewhere else? So we were there for a little bit, and we didn't quite see everyone right away. But Jack, did we see this next person in this time, or did we go back in and then come back and then see them? Did we see them right the first time?
I think it was the first time. Yes.
Okay.
So it was. The announcers, a couple of the broadcasters came out first. And it was John Schriffen and Len Kasper. And so Jeremy, for years we've been talking about. It's one of the running jokes on our podcast. This Eric Estrada clip. It's amazing. It's one of the funniest clips out there. If you like the type of humor that would, if you like that type of humor, it's incredibly funny. The most disastrous interview, either of us have ever seen for a baseball game. So, and Len Kasper is, a main character in this 4-minute video. So, we've been wanting to bring it up to him, and we had our chance. And it was awesome, man. It didn't disappoint. So, yeah, Kasper was right in the bar. Jeremy, you stopped him. We introduced ourselves to him. And, we just started talking about this Eric Estrada video.
Yeah, I think I know, you had mentioned, that you said you should have brought that up to him when I saw him in spring training.
Yeah.
And I was kicking myself. And, I think you said you should have asked him if he's seen Eric Estrada lately, and I, it just happened so fast. He came up to us, and I wasn't sure if you wanted to do it or not. We didn't really talk about it, so I was just like, "Hey, Len, I want to say we're big fans of the Eric Estrada video," and he's like, "Oh yeah," and he kind of stopped and kind of chuckled a little bit, and we were just like, "Yeah, it was amazing." I forget exactly what I said, but I'm I know you said yeah, we watch it probably at least every couple months or something.
Yep, which is true enough. And then you were like, yeah, he was saying crazy stuff, but you saved it, to Kasper, just reiterating what a good job he did. And then Kasper kind of thought about it, and he's like, didn't he say, I've seen a lot of child pornography?
Yeah. The way he said it.
So he remembered it. Like, he had a pretty good memory of that. Because he asked, like, what year was that? And I said 2009, and I'm pretty sure that's true. But that was, 17 years ago at this point. So he remembered it pretty well.
Yeah. It was funny. It was funny, just the waves of like kind of remembering and bringing stuff up. Like, yeah, I think I said like, yeah, you guys did a pretty good job of saving it. And he's like, oh, well, thanks. And he was like, yeah, the way he said the child porn thing was funny. He's like, didn't he say something about child porn? And we're like, yeah, he did. And he's like, yeah, because he was on that show. And he did like make a point, even, he's still at a White Sox event, like trying to be professional. He did say like, oh, well, he was really a sweetheart.
Yeah.
And he made a point of that, but then he's like, but yeah, he had just come from that reality show. And I was like, yeah, I think The Surreal Life. He's like, yeah. So he's talking about all those people. And then, so he said that. And then I can't remember if we brought another name up, but then maybe that's when he said the child porn thing, and then you said and then he started talking about Ron Jeremy.
Yep. Yeah, and that was then I quoted the little known facts line to him, which is like that's like the good capper in that whole thing. So yeah, it was interesting to like see him that all sort of come back to him. But then he said something really insightful and interesting and kind of like, insider knowledge that we didn't have. But he's like, yeah, I always told them that, we should do that interview in the top of the seventh because there's a finite amount of time for it because the person has to sing. And he's like, the bottom of the seventh, the Cubs would be batting. And actually, if you watch the Estrada video, it's hilarious because the Cubs start to go on a rally and like it's a big moment in the game. And like Estrada totally distracts them from that. So it would have been a better call to do those dumb interviews while the visiting team was batting or the opposing team. So that it was cool to like hear that he thought that they should have done that a little differently.
Yeah. And I know that they made the decision at some point to like stop having like non-baseball related people or like non-Chicago people like there. So, and that this interview was part of that decision. Absolutely. Cause I do remember it was talked about a lot, like when it happened. But yeah, history, it fades over time, but yeah, he was saying like, yeah, and I said like, yeah. And, I know you guys made that decision. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, well, the baseball people are always great, but but like, yeah, he's like, yeah, I was like, that made a lot of sense though, to move it like that. So, cause yeah, he was saying like, was that the bottom of where the Cubs batting? Because like, yeah, It's like, we moved it. And like, so yeah, it was kind of cool to see. And like, honestly, like we got pretty much, it was one of those things where we got everything we wanted out of the situation. And it almost got into a point. It's like, it's probably something that I would have like ended sooner. Like if, just to kind of get in and get out, but he was just chilling, honestly.
He was.
And, we were like, it's like we could have kept going on it, but I was like, I didn't want to beat it into the ground, but he was very cool. And, Len Kasper's always been one of my favorites. There's a million things to talk about. He's a big Replacements fan. And, I would have liked to talk to him about I was going to think of something to talk about with the Replacements. But I've run into him before. He came to that play I directed. I could have brought that up, but it all felt like, and I also had a card for him that I wanted to get signed, but it felt like that was the thing. Like I didn't want to ruin it by asking for his autograph, like that interaction, because it was so kind of cool.
Well, not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think maybe he could tell that we weren't just typical like meatball idiot White Sox fans who were going to ask him like, what do you think of the Luis Robert trade or something stupid like that? It's like we're actually two people who know some things, right? So that was maybe he actually enjoyed that interaction a little bit. And Jeremy, you sent the text message the next day like, I wonder if he went and watched that video after we brought it up, like when he got home. And I was wondering the same thing, man. Like if he's watched it since then. Yeah. And if he has, I hope he realizes how funny it is if he hasn't rewatched it. And like, also like they should, there's not many sports casting college degrees. and stuff like that, whatever. But like if you were ever gonna show in like a college classroom an example of like some guy trying to keep an interview on the rails while it goes off, like Kasper does a perfect job of it there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a good teaching moment.
It is.
Yeah, so because if you go to YouTube and Google like Eric Estrada, I think it's called like awkward interview or cringy interview. It's right there. So he could have just went home that night and looked it up. So yeah, it was pretty cool. It was like pretty much everything we were hoping for, and honestly, that was kind of the highlight of the whole night.
It was. It really was. That was a true meet and greet. So that was nice. He was out there with John Schriffen.
Well, real quick, I was gonna say too. Like, I think we were also like the first fans he talked to that whole night too.
Yeah.
Like he had just gotten like I think they had just made their way into the lounge. Him and John Schriffen was there. They had just made their way into the lounge, and they and like we were the first person to catch him. So it was kind of funny that like he was at this thing, and he takes one step like past that little stanchion into the lounge, and we catch him right away, and then like 10 seconds later he's uttering the phrase child porn, which is just like, and like under his breath because like God forbid someone else overheard him saying that. So it was just a weird reaction or weird like situation, and I'm sure for him it was like Jesus, like I'm here, like this is all happening, so it was
if that was the first interaction, what am I in for tonight?
Yeah, exactly. So it was awesome, and Chris was also getting a kick out of it. He's like, I can't believe you guys had a conversation with Len Kasper where he said child porn.
That was it was classic for sure. That was a great moment, and that's a great card you have though too. You got to get that signed at some point. Yeah, it's good stuff. But yeah, Schriffen was there too. I guess we made fun of him enough, just like everybody else, when he first started in 2024. Nobody really said anything about him last year. I think he kind of chilled out. He was really, really trying too hard in 24 when he first got the job. But, he was there, and he talked to Chris's dad for a while. Jeremy, I felt kind of bad that, like, because you and I and Chris were right there, and, like, you and I didn't say anything to him, Schriffen. And I guess we just had nothing to say because I'm not going to tell the guy I'm a fan of him because I'm not. But he was really nice. So like he seemed like a really nice guy. Chris's dad asked him if he lived in Chicago, and Schriffen actually said he lived in Las Vegas, which is like interesting. I'm rooting for the guy now. He does seem like a nice guy, so I don't have anything against him.
It was I was actually thinking like I was glad Chris's dad talked to him because he kind of like jumped on the grenade for us. And like I was like paying attention to their conversation. It kind of seemed like we were all together. Like I think to Schriffen it kind of appeared that we were all together, and Chris's dad was just like the mouthpiece for us. So it was cool. He like said, when he moved on, he said like he either said hi to us or bye to us or whatever. So he kind of like made that, he covered that for us. So I think it ultimately was good. So,
That was, so that was good. And that was kind of it. So after we talked to those two guys, I think we kind of hung around the lounge a little bit more, kind of waiting for someone, but we realized that, it's probably better to just go back to the main stage area. So that's where we went, and they were about to do a game, called Fair or Foul, which is like this game where they would ask the players they wrote down questions to ask each other, and then they could either answer the question or they could eat gross food. I think I got that right, didn't I?
Yeah, it's like a combination of like the match game or the dating game with like truth or dare or something. Yeah. Like they could opt out of answering the question, and I think they said something like the questions were written by their teammates or something who like presumably weren't there. I don't know it was there were two teams. It was Davis Martin and Shane Smith. And then the other team was Tanner McDougal and Grant Taylor. The first question was like, who gets the most what was the first? The first question.
You know what it was,
lame.
Jeremy? I think I know what it was. It was which couple would you would you most like to go on a double date with to least like to go on one with? And then they named three couples, and that is such a like baseball player question where like that would be a hard one to answer. or controversial. So those were the kind of questions that they asked.
That one though was pretty milquetoast compared to that one was it was whatever. Like I thought it was a little toothless, but they did get a little more like kind of saucy afterwards. But I also was like, is that code? Like go to dinner with like it's I think it's basically asking like which of your teammates' wives do you like better? Like I think and I almost wonder if like one of the players pitched that and they were like, we gotta clean that up a little bit.
Sure.
But yeah, like, so like if they would have asked that, that would have been something. But it is a family affair, family event. But I will say, and this is the White Sox spin on it, there was like, so one of the like things that they had to do, like the food challenges basically was like, so one was the Chicago handshake, which is a shot of Malort and an old style, I believe.
Yeah.
But then another one was like a shot of Malort. So it's like basically Malort was on there twice. And I think it was Grant Taylor or Tanner McDougal. They were like, hey man, I want a shot. I'll take the Malort, And so like these players in essence are on stage doing shots of like liquor at this like White Sox fan fest. So it was, in one way it's like not the straight up family thing. On the other hand, it's kind of cool, but like it's also weird. It's just like most people don't do that. Like for I guess guys like us who try to rep the more irreverent side of baseball, I guess it was cool. Like it was pushing the envelope a little bit, but
one of the questions was pretty risque. They were like, what is the last DM in your like, social media, and you got to read it out loud or something.
Yeah. That was a good one.
So that was a good one. They also had who's the most famous person in your phone, like call them right now or like, eat this thing. And so I forget which guy it was. Was it
Grant Taylor? It was
Grant Taylor. He was on LSU with Paul
Yeah.
Skeens. So he had Skeens in his phone. So he did call Skeens and leave him a voicemail and was like, hey, we're at SoxFest Live. And then like everybody like cheered. So I wonder, I'm sure Paul Skeens probably listened to that, voicemail eventually. So that's funny. Jeremy, you did make the comment. Well, first of all, before that, we should say one of the foods was, I forget, it was like something with crickets inside of it. And it's like...
It was a meatloaf. It was meatloaf with like crickets sprinkled on top of it or something.
And you made the comment like, well, why don't they just have the guy eat crickets? Because you can do that.
Yeah, exactly. And like, because like Shane Smith ended up like eating it. And he said like, oh, I thought there'd be more crickets on it or something. Or like, where are the crickets? You said there were crickets, but I don't see any. And Connor McKnight, who was like the chef who was presenting the food, had to be like, oh, well, let me go back there and get more crickets or something. But I'm like, he should have just gave him crickets to eat. Like, honestly, I think it's grosser to eat meatloaf with crickets than just eat the crickets. So, it was kind of, it was a miss a little bit. It was a little like, clunky, but, the game was looking a little rough at first because like I wasn't getting a lot of charisma out of some of the players, like as you would expect. Davis Martin was kind of like the most personable, and he was even kind of like a little bro-y about it all. But I guess it did get better as it went on. Like, and it was fun enough. But I guess the thing about the whole night is like, this is all that it was. Like, there was nothing more than this. And these are essentially the things that they show on the White Sox video board in between games or in between innings. So, it was kind of like paying $35 to go in person and watch them do it on stage, which, it has its certain appeal. But on the other hand, it's like, we're going to see stuff like this for free at Sox games anyway.
For sure. And Jeremy, you mentioned it did get better. At first, when Shane Smith had to pull out his first card to read the question, he took the card out and read it for like 10 seconds. He just looked at it for like 10 seconds before he actually started reading. It's like, dude, you realize this is dead air, right?
Yeah.
I know, he's unpolished when it comes to this sort of thing, but my goodness. Yeah, thankfully it did get better though. So as all this was unfolding, or maybe shortly after, actually maybe it was during the next segment. It doesn't matter because the next segment was Getz and Venable for an interview about the state of the team, or whatever. So anyway, as all this was happening, these presentations, there were suddenly like autograph lines in the main room there, where like when stuff was going on, and so they were on either side of the theater. And one side was Sam Antonacci and Anthony Kay, and the other side was Miguel Vargas. But the thing is, there were so many. It was so packed in there that it was almost impossible to tell where the line started. It was terrible.
Yeah, like so this is like a concert venue, and like it's very much like the Vic or the Riviera. Like that doesn't do you any good if you're not from Chicago, but it's like an open floor concert venue, and like the floor is like, I don't know if raked is the right word because it's tiered. It's like there's levels. And so you know it goes down as you get closer to the stage. And so like, and there's just people standing and filling in every square inch of this open space. And there were these two little backdrops on each side, and like Chris did say like they did autograph signings there last year. And then these guys just, I don't know how they had to have like get kind of pushed through the crowd to get to that spot. And then like, there's just all these people, and like, yeah, the lines, there was no rhyme or reason to the lines.
No.
We passed by the Antonacci and K line, and me, Chris, and his dad got into that one. You didn't have either of those guys, I think. So you just went over to Vargas.
Yep.
And I can just say for our line, there's like a little, the background drops were in this little like kind of cutout like area, and so like there was a line leading into that, but then the line crossed over like the main aisle, and some people started wrapping it around the like barricade, and some people were just like going straight across the aisle. So there was basically two lines feeding into one line, and like Chris was saying like we may have cut the people, but like I don't know. We asked people and they're like, no, it wraps around here. So that's what we ended up doing. So it was a mess, and like the people who were in the other line didn't say anything to us when we kind of like merged in. So I think everyone just knew it was kind of a cluster, and we did end up getting up there and getting there, but it didn't look good, and it wasn't clear how long they were going to be there. So it was not ideal.
No, and the Vargas line was even worse because that one almost like it was like a T-bone. And so like if you think about like when there's a car accident that you'd call a T-bone, like I was in the line that would have hit the side of the other car, right? So like the top of the T was going straight for Vargas, and like I was in the line that was on the bottom, I guess, or on the side. And so like my line, because I asked the guy in front of me, I was like, "Are you in line for Vargas?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then like this lady came up behind us, and she was like, "Are you guys in line for Vargas?" And we were like, "Yeah." But like our line never moved, and even the line that was like the other line barely looked like it was ever moving. So it was impossible to tell what was going on. And more people are going to want Miguel Vargas, anyway, because he's been on the club longer and he's been in the majors longer. But yeah, man, it was a disaster. I never even came close to him. So I didn't have anything like you said for Antonacci and Kay, so that didn't matter to me. But it was just it was a disaster. It almost seemed like it would have been better if they just hadn't done it. But whatever. I guess they'll know better next year.
There had to have been better places where those could have been, and maybe they will change it for next year. Like it's funny because the Cubs send you like a survey like right after the Cubs convention. I haven't seen anything from the White Sox yet. It is only Monday, but still, it's like if people like talked about that, they would. I'm sure they would have to say something about that. And it's just like just find another place to move it to.
Yep.
Like, why put it in the middle of all the people? It was just a horrible spot for it. So, but I will say like that was my first autographs of the night. Anthony Kay did 2 of 2 for me, and Antonacci signed probably his only card that he has, a Bowman draft card. So it was cool to get a couple out of the way, and I didn't know if that was going to be it for the night. Basically I think we kind of reconvened, and then this Getz Venable thing was happening the whole time this was happening. The whole time we were getting autographs. Chris and I did go over to Vargas afterwards, and just nothing. It looked like they had cut the line off, and
Okay.
people around me were like, yeah, they cut it off. So it was what it was. But then we ended up, we all reconvened, and then I think we went down closer. There was this little side area. I guess we didn't talk about this, but after we left the lounge, we went back into the theater, and we found this little like side area where the players go in and out. And players did go in and out. We were kind of right by it when they came in and out for fair and foul. And we tried to stop some people, and they were like, Shane Smith said he'd sign afterwards. So we kind of stood there and we waited for that whole thing. And then they walked out and they didn't stop and sign. I'm sure they were getting swept away to something else.
Yeah.
But it was literally on the other side of where we were in the lounge. So it was the right spot. It was like the passageway. So we kind of made our way back over there during the final part of the Chris Getz, Will Venable segment. And we got to the side there, and I guess we should say this now, like just before Getz and Venable ended up leaving, and we ended up like seeing them on the side. But before that, they had people kind of come up on stage and ask questions to Getz and Venable. We should say this too, Jack, and maybe you have something to say about it, but just the actual talk, it was laid out like pardon the interruption, like they had like these topics and they had timed segments where they would talk about these topics. And like I don't remember what Chris Getz was saying at some point, but he was talking about like, well, someone asked like, would the team be willing to trade young prospects if they were contending or something like that, which is a ridiculous question, but given the reality of the White Sox right now. And Chris Getz like, was like, okay, how do I answer that or whatever. And like then he was saying like, well, investment in the team and the value of prospects, and he was giving like a thoughtful yet very dry answer.
Yeah. And
I was just like, no one wants to hear this. No one cares about what he's saying or is following what he's saying. And like, this is just, it's kind of a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So yeah, Jeremy, like most of the time we were getting autographs during these interviews, but regardless, I was kind of, listening with, kind of half listening even when I was in line or trying to. And then when we went back over there, but the interview was just so boring that like it was unlistenable. It was terrible. Or even when Venable, they asked him questions and like, who's the most competitive guy in the locker room? He's like, oh, well, I don't think you can get to this level without being competitive. So it's like, wow, great answer, dude. Like, so interesting. So it was just a boring interview. And then at the end, they asked Getz, they asked both Getz and Venable, like, what's one word to describe how you feel going into spring training? And Getz said, he took a minute to think, and he said, momentum. And it's like, momentum? You guys lost 102 games last year. Like, and you just traded Luis Robert. You have no outfielders. Like, shut up about momentum. Yeah, I guess like 60 wins seems better than 41 wins, which is what you had the year before. But it's like, I wouldn't start using the word momentum yet. The Cubs have momentum going into this year. You don't have momentum.
Yeah, the Cubs were one game away from going to the NLCS, right?
Yeah.
So like, that's more like momentum. I mean, like, he should say something like, Spendy or something, because like they did sign Sir Anthony Dominguez and Austin Hayes, and did they get one other guy since then? I can't remember. Oh, they traded for Jordan Hicks just a couple days ago.
They did, and Jared Kelenic is a non-roster invitee.
that's right. Yeah. So I don't know. That's more like making moves or something.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, but it was so dry. It's like, it's like it's not their fault per se, but it's just like, this is not what people wanted to see.
No.
We'll talk about Bo Jackson in a minute, but Bo Jackson was like more animated than maybe anyone else there combined. But just to wrap up the Getz Venable thing, they'd had people on stage asking questions, and one of these guys came up, and Jack, I don't know how much of it you heard from the side, but who was hosting? It was Was it Chuck Garfien who was hosting that segment?
This one, yeah.
So he introduces this guy. There's this guy on stage. He's an old guy, like tall, skinny, like guy, bald, gray, like kind of horseshoe hair, gray mustache, glasses, wire rim glasses. Just tall, lanky dude wearing a White Sox jersey, and the back of it says Omogrosso. And And Chuck Garfien introduced him like he was like Crawley or something. I feel like he said something like, "Oh well, we got on stage. We got you guys probably see him at the ballpark and you see him in the stands wearing his jersey, but Omogrosso's here to ask a question." And I was seething my normal amount of like anger when I see someone with a custom jersey.
Yep.
And I'm like, who the hell are you to have your name on the back of a jersey, dude? You didn't do anything. And then I remembered that there was a guy named Omogrosso on the White Sox.
Yeah. I'm looking him up now. He pitched for parts of 2 seasons, combined 37 and a third innings.
Is it Brian Omogrosso?
It is, yes.
So that puts an even further wrinkle in this Omogrosso guy, the guy wearing the jersey. Like, so either it's his dad or he bought a fucking game used Omogrosso jersey and wears it. Like, and he probably got it because it was fucking dirt cheap at the store, or he got a custom made Omogrosso jersey just to be kind of like a wise guy / super fan or something for a guy who like had a cup of coffee. But any of those 3 options is not good. I guess the family member is okay, I guess, but like none of them are good options. They're just annoying. And the fact, and I've seen this guy at game. We've seen this guy at game. I don't know if we've ever talked about him on a podcast, but he doesn't really do anything, but he's more like noticeably looking, but like it's almost like the M&M's guy, like walking around just like, hey, look at me, I'm wearing an M&M's jacket. It's like, hey, look at me, I'm wearing an Omogrosso, like a jersey with a crazy last name on the back. And it's like, dude, Omogrosso, like, you're not bringing anything to the table. You didn't do anything to earn any sort of recognition or respect or attention. So it's like, just keep moving, dude. You're annoying me.
Yeah, and so we should say that a little bit earlier, before we went back to see this Getz Venable thing, we tried to sneak past the stanchions where we were standing when we met Kasper.
Yes,
like we were like, all right, let's just test this out. Let's see if we can
passageway.
Let's just see if we can go into this passageway. So me and Chris went in there. Of course, we got stopped and turned around, and so we were like, fine. But like when the guys walked off stage, they would go into this passageway from the other side. And so fucking Omogrosso, like, he goes off stage and like he just walks back into this passageway like he owns the place.
Yeah, like he's like White Sox brass.
Yes, yeah. So it was just it was absurd, man. And I know now that whenever we go to White Sox games, we're gonna see this guy every single time we go.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be that whatever that that theory is, the where you see stuff once you notice it. So like, we should do an over-under of Omogrosso sightings next year. That should definitely be on the over-unders for next year or for this year.
Yeah, that would be good. So yeah, finally this this unbearable interview wraps up, and Getz and Venable come over to the same place where Omogrosso had just come from to go backstage. And so Getz was first, and he signed for like one person, maybe because no one was asking for him. But then I wanted Venable more, and because I'd never gotten him, and Chris said Venable is a fantastic signer. So Venable comes next, and he signs for everybody, man. Like he signs for a couple people, then like some asshole reached over me with his ball, which pissed me off. But I ended up getting him too, and Venable at one point he's like, yeah, I got all you guys. So that was cool. I got him on a Heritage 2015 Topps Heritage. I kind of signed over his face a little bit, but I can live with that.
Yeah, for sure. And I had 2 cards for him, and he took my book and he signed both of them. I was in a weird position. Yeah, it was cool. I was in a weird position where I could have got Getz, but it just all happened so I kind of had to pick one, and so I picked Venable. And yeah, I was glad with that. And I had gotten him at spring training, but I wanted to kind of re-up, and I think the one in spring training came out like just okay, and so I wanted to get another one done, and the ones today at this fest turned out pretty good, so I was definitely happy with that choice.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And Jeremy, I had said to you, just because it's hard to get White Sox autographs at White Sox games, like probably not going to be able to get Venable at the park this year. So there is an outside chance that like we could see Getz on the concourse and get him. But yeah, Venable is probably there or nothing. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, most definitely. So that was cool, and so yeah, that was another one to add to the list. That was your seal break-in, Jack, right, for the night. So
sure was. Yeah,
that was
it
cool.
was. Yeah, that was the first autograph I'd gotten, Jeremy, and I was kind of resigned after the whole Vargas, Antonacci K thing. I was like, I don't think I'm gonna get anything tonight. Like, I'm gonna have to kind of, come to peace with that. But we got Venable. So even just getting him, I was happy. But it turned out we wouldn't quite be done for the night.
Yeah, right. So, so then we went back over to those autograph backdrops just to kind of like mill about, so we would be very close to the top of the line in case someone else came back. And there were like White Sox, usher people, like these two girls like standing by the thing. So it was like, why would they be standing there if there wasn't another player coming? But this next segment started. It was like a match game sort of thing where they had to match like the fans, and there was players out there, and it was like just poorly run, like completely just like disorderly, and just like they were supposed to keep track of their own scores, and like they had this like old-fashioned scorekeeping thing that none of the players knew how to like work.
No.
And it was kind of frustrating to watch them struggle with it or not know how to do it. Some like Miguel Vargas, I don't think ever even tried to keep score.
No.
So that was a mess. But yeah, so it was just goofiness. And we were standing by this backdrop, and like it's like, okay, like, when are the players going to come out? And it was starting to look like no one was going to come out. So it was kind of frustrating. So I was like, I had resigned myself then at that point to be like, you know what? If Len Kasper is still hanging out in the lounge, I will just go back and get his autograph just because I want to get this thing signed. So I was like, yeah, I want to go back there. And you ended up joining me to go back to the lounge. And we turned the corner, and that backdrop, we should say earlier on, like Len Kasper and John Schriffen were taking pictures with people.
Yep.
But we looked back, and Shane Smith and Davis Martin were there taking pictures and signing autographs with people, just like Kay and Antonacci were. So we just jump into the line, and it was kind of long, and it was not moving very well, but this seemed to be like the thing to sell out for. We ended up standing behind this guy in line, and he was definitely a peculiar guy. Like I want to say he had like long like hair and like thick black glasses. He kind of looked like a metal guy, but like also with like nerd glasses, like 50s
Paul
nerd
Dano
glasses.
vibes.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, he was an interesting looking guy, and I think he even had like a little like lisp or something going on, but he was like, yeah, these players will be coming by or whatever, and like, it's like McDougal and whoever were there, and then he's like, and fucking Shane Smith and Davis Martin are there now, and he just like said like fucking like just for no reason. It was kind of funny, and it seemed like so like unnecessary. And I know we say that a lot, but the F word, but it was funny the way he said it. He's like, yeah, so Shane Smith and fucking Davis Martin are there right now. It's like, okay, cool. And like he seemed to be pretty well informed. He's like, yeah, they're switching them out every 30 minutes, and I was in line for McDougal and Taylor, and then it switched to Smith and Martin, so I just stayed in line. And we're like, okay, cool, thanks, man, thanks for the info.
The one thing that White Sox Fest has over Cubs Fest, like good info from people sometimes.
Yeah, well, but still only from the fans, not from the actual paid staff. But yeah, so we ended up going over there, and I texted Chris, told me like to text him if someone was signing, and we did text him, and he came over, and yeah, we got in line, and so they started saying, a White Sox usher came by and was like, all right, everybody, just, they're only signing to 8:30, and it was like 8:20 at this point. He's like, just to speed things up, we're doing photos only, okay? Photos only. No more autographs. We're really sorry, but photos only. And I think most normal people would get out of line at that point, but I was like, I'm not going to get out of line. Like, I'll just go up there and just like try to get an autograph. And Jack, I don't know. You could kind of say, you can chime in here at some point, but like, I was like, I'm not gonna get out of line just because they tell me like I can't get an autograph. Like, I'll go up there and ask and get rejected if anything.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna get out of line just because they said so, and like, who the fuck knows? what'll happen when we get up there. And the line starts moving. A lot of people get out of line, and it's moving faster now. And it's getting to the point where we're getting up to the front of the line.
Yep.
You want to take it from here?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I wanted to say to that usher, like, whose call was that to just do pictures? Was it your call? Because, like, pictures are actually slower than autographs. An autograph takes, maybe 5 seconds to sign. With a picture, like, you have to hand your phone over to somebody. They've got to, like, take it and then aim the camera, and you have to pose with the person and then take the picture and then get your camera back. That's like 3 times as long as an autograph. It's a dumb call from somebody who doesn't seem to have a lot of experience with that. At CubsCon, it was the other way around. You could only get 1 autograph, and you couldn't take any pictures because they know that the pictures are the thing that slows everything down. So that was just bad logic right there. So, but anyway. Yeah, it was like a situation with the Montgomery thing at CubsCon where you didn't have a ticket for him. It was like, I was saying to you, I was like, well, man, I don't want to get, like, a picture. Like, I don't know. And you're just like, yeah, I might just go up to Smith and, like, sneakily ask him or something like that, Yeah. So you went first, and I think you had every intention of asking Shane Smith for his autograph. You'd already gotten Davis Martin. But I think Davis Martin kind of, like, pulled you in, and then, like, you ended up getting a picture with both of them.
I said, like, so and from, like, if I was going to observe the situation, I was like, I was just talking all this game about, like, I'm just going to go up there and ask Shane Smith for his autograph, whatever. And then I walk up and I turn to the camera, I smile, and then, like, I hand them my camera, and I just take a picture as if that was my plan all along. Like, and then I took the picture and I looked at you and you were, like, laughing. You were laughing at me.
Yeah, man. It was wild, and I think I ended up just getting out of line at that point because I was like, "Shit, man, I don't want to like get a picture or whatever." So yeah, that was ridiculous, Jeremy. I'd like to see that picture too at some point. You'll have to. Yeah.
It's funny, Jack, because I can even turn my camera on here really quick and show you. But I'll post it. I will post this on the Instagram because it is funny. The look on my face. Here. I don't know if you can see that, Jack.
I can. That's hilarious, man. I can't see your face super well, so I look forward to.
Yeah.
I see it now, man. You're just you don't look. You're grimacing, kind of, in a way.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah. I'm kind of like. Well, I guess I gotta settle for this picture because.
Yep.
And it's actually a nice picture. Like the guys look good in it and everything. So it was cool, but it was complete a complete back down. It's like I got up there. And I was just like, okay, yeah, here's my picture. So I'll just say from my angle, what happened was I got to the front of the line, and, like, the same guy who was going around telling people, like, pictures only, I was standing there with my book and my Sharpie in my hand. And the guy's, like, looking at me like, what is this guy going to try to do? And and so then I pulled out my phone just to kind of, like, make it look like I was going to get a picture. And the usher guy got cool with me, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm really sorry, like, some other guy told me he was going to kick my ass or something, like, but, we're just trying to move it along or whatever. And it's like, so I appreciate it, man. And I was like, yeah, cool. And then, like, as soon as I step forward, Davis Martin gets right in my face. He's like, how you doing, buddy? Or something.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, like, this is a picture now. And, and I just did it. So it was funny. But I don't know why we didn't think about this afterwards, or beforehand, but these guys were going to walk right through the lobby or through the lounge afterwards. So we just, like, kind of went to the side and, like, I guess Chris saw Tanner McDougal in the back of the lounge. Mm-hmm. So we kind of made a beeline for him. But yeah, Shane Smith and these guys just stopped and kind of walked through the lounge. So, like, yeah, you could have just stopped them.
Yeah. So we totally didn't think of that. So you and Chris went to get McDougal. I didn't have anything for McDougal, so I hung back, and I realized that, like, Smith and Martin were wrapping up. I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to have a shot at one of these guys here. And, Shane Smith was an all-star last year.
Yeah.
And I had just gotten his card that day. I guess Instant Ink, if you want to call it that. But you had a double of him. I didn't pull him in the update for 2025. And then the card needed to be prepped, though. So it's like Chris actually came through with an eraser. So, like, it's taken a village to get this autograph so far. But I had a card for him. And so, yeah, he walked right by me, and I tried to be stealthy about it. I was like, Shane, do you have time for one real quick? And he did sign for me, and, of course, I saw you right behind me, Jeremy. You were right on top of me, and you got the auto as well. And then I think Chris maybe got him as well. And then so Davis Martin, like, kept walking, but he stopped for these other guys, like these 4 bros, and he was signing for them. And like, it was just I had to choose one or the other. But like, I tried to get Martin's attention, and I think you did too. But he just had his back to us, and he finished signing for these guys and just went away. And so that's okay. I'll get him at some other time. But I was happy to at least come out of that with Shane Smith.
Yeah, I think for that reason, like the fact that he made the All-Star team was probably the way to go.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They said during the opening ceremonies, I think, or at some point they're like, he's the longest tenured pitcher on the White Sox staff, which is
Davis Martin?
Yeah. Which is just crazy to think about, and it's true. But yeah, so yeah, whatever. He should be around. I would suppose. So
yep.
So yeah. Okay. So that ended, and that was pretty much the end of the night. We ended up going back to the main room just to see what was going on at this point, and like it was weird. All the programming had ended. This is after 9:00 now, and on the schedule it says like after party. And when it turned out to be only for MVP members. But we go back to like the main lobby, and like there's still a bunch of people standing around facing the stage, kind of like waiting for something else to happen. And like, I'm like, I don't think anything else is happening, but it's like, no, of course no one has said anything to the people like, all right, folks, that's it, go home. And I ended up running into a friend of mine, Sarah, and we were talking for a little bit, and she was kind of talking about like her feelings about the fest. I think she was she said something that was funny, that was very earnest. She is like a genuine like White Sox fan. She's like born and raised on the South Side, so like she has like the credit. But she said like, I hope the players like enjoyed themselves, and she's like, I hope that they don't come here and think like, oh, this is kind of lame, which was like a very astute observation, I think, from a legitimate White Sox fan perspective. And I said like, well, at least Bo looked like he was having fun.
Yep.
And he did. During the match game, he seemed like he was having a lot of fun. So I was like, they should have just did an hour segment with Bo Jackson, honestly.
Yeah.
But so we're standing around, and like, yeah, everything's still lit up, and it's like, okay, people are waiting. And then finally Gene Honda comes out, and he's like, all right, folks, that's the end of the night. Thank you for coming, and drive safely. And so and he said like, drive safely so that you'll be able to make on Thursday, March 28th, White Sox opening day or whatever. And
against Toronto.
yeah. And so like, it's like, and this is like at like 9:20, 9:30 or something. Yep. And it's like, I think at some point it's kind of like at a concert when like the band comes out, goes in and does an encore, and then they go back, and the crowd still wants another encore. Someone has to go out and be like, all right, folks, like it's over, Elvis has left the building, sort of thing. And like, so they're like, all right, Gene, get out there and tell these folks to leave. It's over. Tell them it's over. Or like maybe Honda was like, hey, end it, like send these people home or whatever. Like we didn't give him any direction. And so, yeah, he came out and gave a goodbye to everybody. And then it was finally time to leave. And yeah, this VIP party was going on. We couldn't go to it. So we were ready to leave, and we did leave, and the shuttle bus came, and we got on, and it's about like a 4 or 5 block drive back to the parking lot to the stadium, and the shuttle buses were pretty nice, and I will say, like, I was pleased with White Sox fans' etiquette with exiting the bus. Like when you get off on an airplane nowadays, everybody stands. People get into the aisle when like they're in the 30th row, and like only the first row is exited at this point. It's super annoying. But White Sox fans were like, they stayed seated until like it was their turn to exit, and then they just got up and walked out. So that was I will say, I will give Sox, we call out Sox fans a lot. I'll give them credit for exiting the shuttle bus in an orderly fashion.
Yeah, that was good, Jeremy. You mentioned that the shuttle buses themselves were nice. It wasn't like a school bus or anything like that. They were actually nice buses.
Yeah.
And they came with relative frequency too. Like we got on the first bus instantly. The second bus we maybe waited 2 or 3 minutes for it, and it came. So that was a win. That was pretty cool. I think I asked you, or we talked about, as we were headed back, like, would we do this again next year? And I think we were both kind of ambivalent, but like at the price point, which is like $35, it is baseball content in the doldrums of winter in Chicago. So the answer is we'll probably do it again, but we'll have a better sense of how to navigate it next year if we do.
Yeah, for sure. If the price point stays the same, if the timing stays the same, like it was 2 weeks after Cubs Con, which is enough time to kind of like recharge and get ready. So like, you know, if it was it was a week right after, that would maybe be a thing. But you know, you go in with the right expectations, and you know, hopefully you're not too disappointed. It was just about like what I expected, I would say. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, I would be lying if I didn't say that I, you know, could have used any sort of baseball thing in January in Chicago. So
yeah. So yeah, worth the price that we paid, and a fun time overall. I think at least a memorable time. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this week, Jeremy. But I think one of our next episodes coming up is probably going to be the non-roster invitees. Yeah,
it should be cool. I still haven't I still haven't closed the door completely on going to spring training, but I was just talking to my buddy Scott, who hasn't been on the show, but I was talking to him right before we ended this, and he was like, patch me into the podcast. So maybe we should have him on at some point. But
we should.
Yeah, but I was like, I casually threw out to him about spring training. He was like, maybe up for it. So
okay,
you know, I don't know. I haven't closed the door yet on that, but obviously getting ready for it, you go through all the spring training non-roster invitees, and like it's a tradition on this show. So I'm looking forward to it. Right off the bat, like you said, Jared Kelenic will be in White Sox camp. So that's quite a fall from grace, if ever there was one.
It is. Already we'll have a lot to say about that one. So that'll be good. Jeremy, we should get Scott on here and just have him roast us for a whole hour about getting autographs.
I mean, that's what it would have to be if we did it. So yeah, we'll try to make that happen. But that'll wrap it up for this episode. And then next week we got the non-roster invitees. So for this episode of Rain Delay Theater, I'm Jeremy Dionisio.
I'm Jack Swakowski.
We'll talk to you next time.
Bye.